Okay, I'd like to call a meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals to order on this Monday, May the 3rd. Mrs. Kukla, please read the preamble.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Liz Kukla. I'm the Secretary of the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I'm going to read the preamble this morning. In compliance with notification requirements of Ohio's open meeting law under COVID-19 emergency declaration, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the City Planning Department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting have the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. Please note that call-in users can unmute by using *6. All meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube for public view. We have provided a link to the meeting for those who wish to speak on a particular case via our website and email. We have also received emails from those who have provided written comments on a particular matter. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Please do a roll call.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Baith?
I am present.
Ms. Britt?
Here.
Mr. Donovan?
Here.
Ms. Barnes?
Here.
Ms. Johnson?
Present.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. We have no postponements or withdrawals today.
Correct.
We'll start with calendar 21056. Go ahead, Ms. Faith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Calendar 21-056 at 2483 Thurman Street. Stacy and James Kavanaugh, owners propose to change the use of a non-conforming 3-dwelling to a 4-dwelling unit in a B1 2-family residential district. The owners appeal for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record.
Ms. Faith, can you read number 4? I would like to have everyone understand that.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Number 4 is section 359.01A, which states that a use of building or land lawfully existing on the effective date of this zoning code or of any amendment or supplement thereto, or for which a permit has been lawfully issued, may be continued even though such use does not conform to the provisions of this zoning code for the use district in which it is located, but no enlargement or expansion shall be permitted except as a variance. Filed April 14th, 2021.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Tim.
Everyone for this case who is going to give testimony, kindly raise your right hand. I'm going to read a statement. I'm looking for a response of I do with your name. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do, Kavanaugh.
Okay. Anyone else?
I do, Matthew Moss.
All righty. Anyone else? Hearing none, on to history.
Thank you very much. History of the property, please, Mrs. Kukla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This property was originally zoned general retail in 1929. In 1961, it was changed to the 2-family district. In the records room, I was unable to find when the property was constructed. But I did find that in 1956, a permit was issued to fix violations regarding a building that consisted of 3 suites and 1 store. And again, we see that in 1968, another violation was corrected, and the use at that time was noted as a 3 dwelling unit and 1 store. Now, in the more recent history, in 2004, we see an electrical permit was issued to install 4 breaker boxes. And then in jumping back to 2003, a certificate of disclosure was issued stating that the authorized use of the property was as 3 dwelling units and 1 store. 2015, there was a complaint made stating that the attic is being used as a multifamily. The attic is being used as and is changing the use to multifamily.
Hey, what's that audio?
And in I see that there was a violation notice issued subsequently 2 days after that complaint. And Madam Chair, I believe that's all that we have.
Thank you very much. Ms. Wagner, the legal standard, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Appellant is requesting a use variance and area variances from the minimum lot size and off-street parking regulations of the zoning code. To obtain the use variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will result in an unnecessary hardship, particularly to the property, such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without the variance, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and the granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and the granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you very much. Who's going to be the spokesperson now? James or Stacy?
James will be a spokesperson.
Okay, tell us exactly what you folks would like to do.
Okay, when we purchased the property, that storefront was an apartment. It's funny, we didn't notice the big glass windows. We thought that's just the way they built it. And later on, we found out there was a store there, a meat market or a grocery store or something. But there was 3 units above it, that apartment. There's someone living in that apartment. And so we just assumed it was 4 units. Now, we purchased the property 15 years ago and never had a use for looking up how it was designated. And we also purchased the property next door, the duplex to the right, at the same time. And as you can see, there's parking out front because it was a grocery store at one time.
Okay, yeah, you purchased the green home?
Yes, the green, and we own the one on the right, the grayish one.
Okay. Okay, I'd like to hear from Matt Moss, please. Matt?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. As the neighborhood planner, I would say support the variances being requested because this building looks like it was built before we adopted the zoning code, and when it was adopted, it was a mixed-use structure as a grocery store, some type of market with some living space above. I would, especially since the owner stated that they own the property next door, which looks like it does have some parking in the rear of the property with the drive off of Thurman. I would suggest that they do something to mitigate the non-compliant parking in the front. I don't believe that was ever personal vehicle parking when the building was built because just of the age of the structure and when it was built. And I think that parking really, as you can see from the photo, you can't even pull a car entirely off the street just because of the way that lot is configured. So it would be my preference, just for the sake of the neighbors and the ability to walk up and down the street, that condition be mitigated with some type of landscaping or a fence. But other than that, support the variances as they're being requested.
Did they park the horse and buggy there?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, Madam Chair.
Would there be enough room on the street if that car was just parked on the street?
I don't believe there's any street parking because Thurman is a very narrow, it's almost effectively an alley. in terms of
Okay.
When I was taking the pictures, there wasn't even really a place for me to pull to the side to take a picture easily. It's that narrow.
Okay. Is there parking in the rear, Mr. Kavanaugh?
For the place next door or the one we're speaking to? There's the blue house, the bluish gray has 4 spots in the back. And we've had 4 tenants park 4 cars now. As you're showing it, there's an SUV there, and the SUVs are a tight fit, but all the other cars in there have always fit in there. But I understand what you're saying.
Is there a street there on the other side of the, I'm calling it green, I don't know what color the house is, but
It's a walkway, not big enough for.
to park any cars, it's not a street, okay.
No. In fact, I blocked it off so the kids wouldn't be walking through there if I'm down on 7.
So is this where all your tenants park, is in front?
Yes, and we have the one guy, he grew up in the neighborhood. There's we have a sort of neighborhood thing where the people that have been there forever rent the spaces to other tenants along other buildings as well. There's 10 spots, and I think they get it for $25 a month or something. But so that settles it all. But a lot of the people park down the street and walk down.
I wonder if there's any way we could eliminate parking there, period. I don't like that car being angled like that and blocking the sidewalk. Whose car is that now? One of the tenants?
I have no idea. I thought that was Tim's. I didn't know if who's that?
Comments from the board? Board members, anybody?
Are they showing that as a legal parking spot on their site plan?
Yes, they are.
And we've had 1 million police officers ride by there, and I asked point blank if they had any issues with this, and they said it's always been a parking place. And I said no issues. No, just get the cars in as close to the walls to the building as you can. And there's something that blocks you from getting a 8-inch tall concrete step that goes in front of the building.
Well, the
Madam Chair,
reason the police haven't gotten to you is because Simone retired. But Simone knew his law, and that's an illegal space no matter how you look at it.
Madam Chair, Matthew Moss has his hand raised.
Okay, Matt?
Madam Chair, I was just going to comment the same way Mr. Donovan commented that parking in the front setback, generally parking to be legal has to be in the rear half of the lot, and especially so it's prohibited in the front yard setback through the zoning code though, so it's not a criminal offense.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Okay. Board, any other questions? Mr. Kavanaugh, what are the possibilities of you eliminating those 4 parking spaces or whatever, 3, maybe 3 to 4?
Well, I'm not really prepared to answer that, Ms. Johnson, because it's been
I know, always there.
way of life for 80 years. So, and I understand everyone's concerned about the legality side of things, but like I said, we've never had an accident in 15 years. We've never had anyone ticketed. We've never had anything. We never even thought that would be part of a discussion because we've always taken for granted that was parking. Being ignorant of maybe the bylaws, I was never aware of all this.
And Madam Chair, Mr. Moss again.
Mr. Moss again.
Madam Chair, I would just say that I think the applicant also took for granted that this was a legal building since they bought it. So there's a lot of things that's been taken for granted that hasn't been code compliant, and appreciate the owner bringing this building into compliance and certainly support all the uses, especially in this neighborhood where there's a need for housing. But I really think that this condition should be remedied while we have the opportunity.
Thank you, Matt. Any questions, board?
Madam Chair, based on the testimony and understanding that the conversion of a storefront into is that the one we're doing here? It's a storefront into a dwelling unit. Is approved by variance with the notation that there is no legal parking to be had in the front setback of this building.
Second. Call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Faith,
Yes.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Ms. Britt,
Yes.
Mr. Donovan,
Yes,
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Calendar 21-56 is granted conditionally. The condition is that no parking will take place in front of the building. No permanent parking will take place in front of the building. Madam Chair, are you also requesting that the curb cut be removed and landscaping be installed there, or are we just making a note that the parking in front has not been permitted by this variance?
Well, I think now we're just eliminating the parking. I don't think anyone Tim, you didn't stipulate any grass being planted or anything.
nah.
Right.
If the landlord wants to help by putting in maybe a stenciled no parking or something there, that would be the easiest thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
We haven't heard from the councilman's office or the local development corporation, have we?
No, I haven't heard anything.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, this will be ratified next week and we will send you a letter.
So we've okayed 4 dwelling units,
Correct.
period. Okay, great.
I appreciate everyone's time today.
Thank you very much. Ms. Faith, calendar 21-057.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Calendar number 21-057 at 3712 West 129th Street. Sarah Mason, owner, proposes to erect approximately 70 linear feet of 4-foot-high chain link fence in interior side and front yards in an A1 one-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record.
Thank you very much.
everyone
Tim?
for this case, kindly raise your right hand. Again, I'll read a statement looking for a response of I do with your name. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Anyone for this case?
No?
Mr.
do.
Mullins. Oh, there she is. There she is. She's here.
Okay, what? Do I hear I do in your name?
I do, Sarah Mason.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
129, 3704, West 129, Edgar Gill.
Okay. Anyone else? Hearing none on the history.
Okay, thank you. History of the property, please, Mrs. Kukla.
Madam Chair, could we first have the gentleman who just spoke spell his name?
Yes. Sir, can you spell your last name for the,
Okay, yes, EDGAR, and the last name is GIL.
oh, Edgar Gill, that's easy.
Okay, thank you.
Mute your microphone, Mr. Gill.
Okay,
Thank you, Madam Chairs. The history of the property is as follows. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. In the records room, I found a permit was issued in 1928 to erect a dwelling and a garage. There are no variances on file. And in the more recent history in the Acela system, I found that in 2005, a certificate of disclosure was issued stating that the authorized use of the property is as single family. That's all that I had, Madam Chair.
thank you very much. The legal standard will be judging the case on, please, Ms. Wagner.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Appellant is requesting area variances from the fence regulations of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you very much. Sarah, tell us exactly what you'd like to do.
Good morning. What I would like to do is put up a chain link fence on my property line to go from the back of my house, which has a chain link fence from the back of my house back. I would like to bring that forward to the sidewalk if permitted, for safety purposes from issues I've had with this homeowner.
What is the reason for it?
It's actually a lot of reasons. The current owner is in prison. There was a lot of activity at that home. I have had my house hit by cars. I've had my yard run over, and I don't mean like the edge of the yard. I mean, they full on come through my front yard, so I had to put rocks in. My siding has been damaged. My downspouts have been hit. They've come over my flower beds and hit my house. They threw garbage into my yard. They took out the grass in the backyard, and they installed concrete. And so when they were renting the home, they had a dog that was not able to relieve himself on grass. It would relieve itself in the driveway. And the tenants decided that they were going to start throwing that into my flower beds against my house. The owner that no longer lives there, when he would shovel his snow, he would put it not only up against the foundation of my house, but he would bury my dryer vent, which could give me CO2 poisoning. So I would have to go out and, unbury it. And when I discussed that with him, he just shrugged his shoulders. I had to have the stake survey completed. I think that was 2009 when I had it. When this owner bought the house, I did let him know exactly where the property lines were. He decided to remove the driveway in the backyard, and he still put it over the property line. And when I asked him about that, he just shrugged his shoulders at me. His tenants throw garbage over my fence. I know that a fence will not physically protect me, but I'm afraid to live here. And I'm really afraid, and I cannot move at this point. My mother's disabled. I have to take care of her. She lives 2 miles away. I understand that people don't want a fence because they think it would be unsightly, but I do have other options that wouldn't require a permit, but they're going to be even more unsightly. And through this weekend, in different walks with my dog, I counted over 27 houses in this neighborhood that have different fences that go straight from the backyard all the way to the concrete sidewalk. And I have all those addresses listed if you need them, but it just proves that it's not uncommon for homes within this area to have this. And that, obviously or assumingly, variances have been provided for these owners in the past.
I'm looking at a picture that has a yellow line down the neighbor's driveway. Is that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That is the property line. The yellow is inside of the holes that were drilled into the driveway from Boland and Associates, which are a surveying company. So that yellow line is still on my property.
Okay. And did you put those yellow construction bricks there?
I did, because those, as you can see, the downspout comes right to the edge of my landscape timbers. And I did that so that the tenants would stop driving over them. They've actually come that far over off the property line, off the driveway, over the bricks that I have that are another 4 inches wide, and hit my landscape timbers and my downspouts.
Does your gutter drain into that brick or into their driveway?
No, my gutter drains onto my portion of the driveway.
You think it's going to stop right there at the yellow line all on its own?
No, I don't. But
so basically, it's going to, go on his property then. Why is it not draining down into the sewer?
It always drained into the flower beds, and I didn't like the flower beds being washed out.
No, into the sewer, into the ground down below is a sewer, I would hope.
Yes, I understand. I don't know. When I bought the house as a foreclosure in 2008, it was into the flower bed, and when I put in mulch every year, it washes it out, and that's why I just extended it.
Well, I'm not familiar with all the plumbing and all this thing. I'd like to hear from Mr. Gill. Edgar? Is he the neighbor? Ms. Mason?
Mr. Gill is a neighbor 2 houses down on a corner lot, and his driveway is on a side street, so it wouldn't affect his pulling in or out of the property, in my opinion.
So he is not the neighbor next door. Do we
No,
have any
ma'am.
communication from that neighbor, Liz?
We sent a notification to that neighbor. We haven't heard anything from him.
Okay, have we heard anything from Councilman Casey or the Local Development Corporation?
No, I don't believe I have anything. No.
Okay. Mr. Gill?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what would you like to
Yes, ma'am.
comment on this? That's okay. Would you like to comment on this?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I live in 3704. The house in the corner is connected to the North Avenue to
Uh-huh.
130.
Yes,
And my driver is destroyed complete. Yeah, he's the whole concrete is he take him out already, but no, the city is not efficient like in 2016 when the repair 130. So when I buy the house in 2016, my driver walk when I get inside to park in my car, he destroyed.
Madam Chair, it
It's
seems
not
like the
concrete,
gentleman
it's
has,
little pieces.
seems like the gentleman has a complaint about the city and another road project. It has nothing to do with our variance.
correct.
I agree with that, Tim.
Does the city planning have a position on this? Maurice?
Sorry, I didn't
Maurice?
realize, I forgot I was muted. I actually, when I went out to the applicant's house to take the photographs, I have to say, I spoke with Miss Mason and her husband, actually, very nice people. They do a really nice job taking care of their house.
Yeah, it's lovely.
It's quite immaculate. And this is a very difficult situation. I understand exactly what they're talking about here. I'm not sure how to come down on this this particular thing. I think she does deserve a fence on that side of the property to help protect her house. I don't know if chain link would be the best route, but that's a personal choice on the applicant. I'm not going to comment on that. I would not want to have chain link in the front yard. And I did communicate that to Miss Mason that, in the front yard and the setback area, we'd like to see a more decorative style fence. A 4-foot, some kind of decorative style fence as opposed to chain link in the front yard. Those were my recommendations. I do think that she deserves to have a fence on the side yard.
So is she going to have to dig up his property in order to put that fence there?
Well, I don't think she necessarily, I'm not a fence contractor, but I would imagine they can just drill holes right in the concrete. She did provide the city with a survey drawing that does show the encroachment. I'll zoom in here for you so you can see it.
Yeah, oh, I see it.
According to this, it encroaches 1 foot 3 inches or 1.3 feet. So I believe the yellow line is correct.
Yes.
What's the direction though, if you want to put a fence there? Can you put it right on the property line, or is there supposed to be a space away from the property line?
Rick, what is, that would be a Rick Riccardi question.
Is Rick with us this morning?
He
Yeah.
is. We just have to wait for him to type.
Okay.
So let's see, they're proposing, Ms. Mason, you're proposing 6 foot next to the house, correct?
No, sir, 4-foot chain link all the way was my proposal.
Oh, 4 foot all the way. Oh, okay.
As I understand it, anything larger or taller would be a fire hazard because my dining room windows are right there.
Okay.
So, Madam Chair, are we here because she wants chain link? Because 4 foot is allowed. So, are we?
A fence can, oh, I'm sorry, Kelly.
Oh yeah, I was just asking. Is the reason why she had to come here is because it's chain link? Because you don't have to come here for a 4-foot fence.
Yeah, because according to Rick Riccardi just wrote in the chat that a fence can be on your property line, providing it meets all other zoning requirements.
Okay. So the zoning requirement in this case is a decorative fence in the front yard.
Right.
Let me reread this. Ms. Mason has her hand raised,
That's what I'm
Madam
trying
Chair.
to get at here. Yeah.
Ms. Mason?
Thank you. I believe the reason I'm here is to ask or request the variance so that I can have the fence run to the sidewalk. I understand that chain link is unsightly. Unfortunately, I can't afford the decorative fence. I did price it out both ways and it's significantly more expensive. That's why I did go through the neighborhood and I found, 20 plus houses that had chain link all the way to the sidewalk, showing that it is not completely uncommon for homes within the neighborhood.
Madam Chair, I see Rick Riccardi has extended his comment to note that the fence must be 3 feet from the building.
That's the variant. Those are the two variances then. The fact that it's not a decorative fence in the front yard and 3 feet from the house.
Exactly. So we know that most people in this situation that don't want to pay the extra money for the decorative fence are unaware of what other options there are, because there are other models that are in between the chain link and a decorative fence that could serve the purpose, not be as costly as a decorative fence. We understand the ornamental aspects and the ensuing costs that come with that. But there is another style fence that we recommended for other situations that seems to balance those two, if you will.
Madam Chair, this is Liz Kukla.
Yes, go ahead, Liz.
The code states that the board has the authority to grant a chain link fence if it finds that the chain link fences are common in the area. Does Mr. Rowlands remember or have any photos showing whether or not that is the case?
I do not have any photos. Ms. Mason, do you have any photos you could share?
Unfortunately, I did not take photos when I was walking. However, I have 20 plus addresses that I would be able to show you. I'll hold them up to the screen and I can type them in if necessary. I can go take photos if necessary.
I mean, Madam Chair, I think going along with what Ms. Kukla said, if we can verify that there are in fact that many chain link fences in the front yards in the neighborhood, then I have no problem with that.
What would you consider the area in which you would count a fence as being part of the quote unquote in the area?
Well, I would say at least up and down the street that they're located on, and around the corners on the side streets. I mean, obviously, it's a judgment call.
Right.
Madam Chair,
I did not pay attention when I was driving out there, looking for other fences.
I noticed that her driveway has looks like a 6-foot tall wood fence. And I'm looking at the picture on my screen now that also looks like her house also has a 6-foot tall wood fence. And now you're going to drop that down to a 4-foot high chain link fence? Is that my understanding, Ms. Mason?
Madam Chair, that wood fence looks like it belongs to the neighbor next door.
The wood fence belongs to the neighbor, not on the driveway.
It looks like it's along the side of the house next door. I don't know if
Miss
that's,
Miss Mason has her hand raised.
Go ahead, Miss Mason.
Thank you. When I bought the house as a foreclosure, that fence was already here. That covers my driveway.
Okay,
The fence that I'm proposing is on the opposite side of my home.
This is the neighbor.
I understand that. But what's in the backyard of your home? It looks like there's a fence back there that's wooden.
We're talking about the house, the fence in your backyard, right there.
Right,
That is a chain link fence that wood was attached to so that I didn't have to see what was going on in the neighbor's backyard while it was being rented to some unsavory people. Let's just say Detective Mike at the First District was looking into those tenants for various issues.
so that wood fence is yours, correct?
Technically, I don't think the owner of my home is the one that put it up the way it looked as a chain link. It looks like the neighbor next door put it up, and that also encroaches, but that's technically a chain link fence and there are wood boards attached to it.
Ah,
Oh.
it's a
Oh,
chain
we're
link
talking
fence
about
with
in
wood
the
boards
back.
attached to it.
To it, I
Okay.
see.
Yeah, I was looking on the other side. Okay. All right. I see now.
Okay,
Well, it's clearly on her property according to the yellow.
Yeah.
line.
yeah. But it looks like it's attached to the neighbor's garage.
Yeah.
We're
He's
here
not
to
going,
figure
he's
out
not
if
going
we're
to be
gonna-
happy.
Yeah, we're here to figure out if we just want to grant this woman a chain link fence or not. I think we're having a lot of conversation, so just need to come to a conclusion whether we're gonna grant this variance and how she can lay this out.
Miss Mason has her hand raised again.
Miss Mason?
Thank you. There are two houses on West 129th that do have fences, and I'm assuming they have a variance or had approval, and those are 3611 West 129th and 3608 West 129th. Additionally, when I did look for houses in the neighborhood that were similar, I used the boundaries of West 130th, Lorraine, West 117th, and Kensington, and I didn't cross any man-made or natural borders, and I felt that that was a good neighborhood boundary for, just seeing what else was out there.
Well, I could see allowing it, the chain link down to at least the corner of your house, but I really have a tough time with it bringing it down to the sidewalk. I don't know. Board, comments?
Well, my suggestion again was to look at that alternative design, which, although it's not fully decorative, it's closer to it than a chain link fence. Do we still have that sample of material in planning?
I have no idea.
Yeah, nobody's been in planning for over a year. Board, we've got to come up with a solution.
And Miss Mason has her hand raised again.
Miss Mason?
I apologize. I know I'm long-winded. I'll try to make it short. If I can't get the chain link fence approved, I actually fear for my safety in my yard. I don't want these cars running over my yard. I had to put these bricks or whatever, these rocks in my front yard. They're hideous. And they still run those over. And they don't move them back when they run them over. And I have been in contact with a real estate attorney. I am within a legal right to get a concrete saw and cut their driveway out. It's on my property. That's another solution I might have to do. The rocks over, make them taller and paint them yellow. And I'm trying to do everything within my budget to fix this, but I can't deal with this. I have to find a solution. And I know a fence is ugly, but I don't think it's as ugly as something else that I could do. I'm sorry,
Madam Chair,
Yes, Liz.
is it possible that Mr. Rulins can pull up those two addresses on Google just to confirm?
Sure.
the,
Hold on a
the
second.
fences on the street?
Or we can either do that, or we can also, if you want to, I can also go after the meeting and if you want to make a motion, hold on, I'm doing two things at once here.
Aren't you talented?
And I mean, I'm more than happy to go out there and check if you make a motion that there are sufficient ones in the neighborhood that you'll approve it. You know, that's something that we can do too, but I can also look at them right now.
Yes,
What was the,
Madam Chair, and we've also approved chain link fences, but to use the black coating one so it looks a
Right.
lot better. And I feel like in this case, we should just move forward and possibly, suggest that because seems like this is extreme circumstances for this woman and her family. And we don't need to put her through talking about this any longer. So I
yeah, and
will
city
I
planning
will
would definitely go along with that.
Madam
Okay.
Chair, Kelly, let me just ask one question. Supposing we do that, we approve it as a black vinyl fence, 4 foot. Could we add a landscape strip just to help visually the buffer between the 2 yards there? You know,
That's a good
hedgerow that
idea,
would
Tim.
ultimately grow up. I'm sorry.
No, I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
All right.
I
So
like
Ms.
that.
Mason, would that be something you'd be willing to do, is put a landscaping strip running down the on your side of the fence, just to some shrubs, something to beautify the fence so it's not so
Ugly.
yeah. We're not big lovers of chain link fences, that's all. But we completely understand what you've been going through.
Believe me, I'm not a fan for the chain link fence. My husband is against the chain link fence. It's gonna be ugly. In order to plant shrubs, I would have to still cut their concrete out because I don't want to put hedges back into my yard. When I bought this house, there were hedges that went all along the side of the property and they were getting into my foundation.
Well, it doesn't even have to be hedges. It could just be flowers, a planting strip of some kind,
Yeah, you
a
can
couple
you
of
can buy
shrubs.
you can buy planters. Like you don't have to cut the concrete up. You can buy planters or something just to soften up that side without cutting the concrete.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I mean, if you see my yard in the summer, there's a ton of flowers anyway, so. Bad.
Yeah, you do a wonderful job of your house is beautiful.
Okay, great. Well, Madam Chair, I move that Madam Chair, I move that we approve the variance as requested for calendar number 21-0577, noting that we will agree to the chain link fence if it's black and vinyl, and the appellant has agreed to soften up her side, the side yard by the fence with some sort of planting or planters once the fence is installed.
Second.
Second.
Call the roll.
And Madam Chair, do we want a revised site plan for that, or are we okay just putting the condition in the resolution?
I think just putting the condition in. Board, how do you feel? That's how I feel. I think
That's
we,
fine, that's fine.
I feel the condition is fine.
I think, yeah, okay.
Call the roll.
That's
Okay.
sufficient.
Thank you. Ms. Faith,
Yes.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Mr. Donovan,
Yes.
Ms. Britt,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes,
Calendar 21-57 is granted conditionally based on the conditions that were stated in the motion. This will be ratified next week and we will send you a letter.
take care, Mrs. Mason.
Thank you, Ms. Mason. Good luck.
Yes, take care. Go ahead, Ms. Faith, 21-059.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Calendar number 21-059 at 17508 Rockery Avenue, Valerie Starks Hutton. Owner proposes to establish use as a residential facility in an A1 one-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record.
Everyone for this case, kindly raise your right hand. I'm going to read the statement. Looking for a response of I do with your name. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I think you're muted.
I do.
There we go.
Name?
Valerie Starks Hutton.
Okay, anyone else?
It's just me.
I know that, but anyone else on the call for this case? Hearing none,
Okay.
we move to history.
History of the property, please, Mrs. Kukla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just as a reminder to any call-in users that *6 is the way to unmute yourself. Madam Chair, for this address, there's been no change in the zoning since 1929. And the records room, I found that in 1943, a permit was issued to erect a one-story brick dwelling, and a private garage was also erected in 1944. A permit was issued to enclose a porch addition to the dwelling in 1953, and a steel wire fence was permitted in 1965. There are no variances on file for this address and nothing of note in the more recent history. That's all that I have.
Thank you very much. The legal standard, please, Ms. Wagner.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Appellant is requesting an area variance from the distance regulations of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, the appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Ms. Hutton, Starks Hutton.
Good morning, Madam Chair. How are you?
We're doing well, thank you. Tell us
Good.
exactly what you'd like to do.
So the goal is to, first of all, let me just say I lived in the house for 20 years. My goal is to, I would love to turn my home into a woman's home, a woman's family home. So what I did was I spoke with the councilman, Jones, probably on 4 different occasions. He did say that he was not a proponent of family homes, group homes, and things of that nature because of some of his past experiences. And I kind of told him my plan and what, what I had, some of the goals that I had in mind with bringing, helping the community and just kind of improving the community, improving lives. And so I think after several conversations, he said that he would be willing to give me a shot. And then what I did was I also walked the street. As I said, I lived on the street for 20 years. So most of the neighbors there, they know me from when I was younger. I'm 54 now. I bought the house when I was in my 20s. So I went around and I spoke to a lot of the neighbors, which they know me. They know I'm a professional. I've been a teacher in the Cleveland School District for 15 years. I've worked in Cleveland all my life, and I've also lived in Cleveland. Graduate from Whitney Young around the corner from my home. So the people in the neighborhood know me. So when I told them about what I was trying to do, they were very excited. They were very, they said they would even call the councilman. They were very supportive of what I was trying to do. And the reason that I chose to do the family home for women is because that's a specialized population, because most of the family homes cater to men. And I didn't want to sell my home. Right now it's a seller's market. I could get probably $20,000 extra for my home right now. That's not what I want to do. I really want to, one of the reasons that I want to put back into the community, Madam Chair and board members, is because I had to move because there was a homicide on my street, and there was a dead body that landed in my yard. And so because of that reason, it scared me, and I had small children, and I just needed to move. Like, that was the first thing I thought, like, I got to get out of here. But I still had my home. But I wanted to do something in the neighborhood for the community, and especially women, especially because I just think that right now women are in need for help. and, women, elderly, Vietnam women. I just think sometimes they get looked over. And so my goal is to put something here and also to protect the community. It's not, my goal is to make sure that everyone is happy. So I'm sorry, I don't know if I went on a tangent, but I was just trying to give you just some background on me and what I'm trying to do.
But you understand that there's another family home within 1,000 feet of your home?
So I was told that there was a family home in Scottsdale,
right,
which is in Shaker Heights. So I was hoping, because it was in another city, that, and I was also told that it was like very I just made it not being approved. And so because of that, and because of it being in another city, I was hoping that we could be given some leniency in this case because of the cause.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I was going to ask, does the 1,000-foot apply if it is, I know it's a neighboring city, but I don't know if we can,
still
say,
enforce it,
because
I understand. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. So I don't know who can answer that question for us, but.
Maurice will be smart.
We actually discussed this when we were meeting about this case, and I don't know the answer to that. Rick, do you have an answer to that? I can see an argument being made both ways. I can see that, okay, it's not in this city, so it doesn't affect us, and we can't legislate things that are not in our city. But the whole idea of this legislation was to prevent clustering of residential facilities. So, the fact that it's 1 or 2 streets over in a different city, there's no physical barrier. You're still getting a clustering. So again, I can see arguments in both directions. Also, this applicant has gone, out and talked to all of her neighbors. She has gotten support from the neighbors, which I was very impressed. The councilman does support this. I do have one letter from James Richards that objects from the Telford Avenue Street Club. So I imagine, is Telford an adjacent street?
Do you
Ms.
have
Hutton? Let's see.
I don't even see it.
I don't see Telford on this map.
No.
Was there a community get-together meeting to discuss this project?
No, there was no community meeting. But as I said, what I did was I went around to the neighbors that I know that have been there since before I even moved there. So that was 30 and 40 years ago. It's a lot of retirees out on the street. There's a lot of new people that have just recently joined, but they don't own their homes. They're just renting. But the residents that have been there, those were the residents that I was extremely concerned about, because I know that it would affect everyone, but I also know they know my character and know that I'm a professional.
Now, are these women who are working, have jobs that will?
Some of them, yes. Yes, they will be working, or some have a reserve. Some of their families don't want to take care of them, but they get help from the county. Some of the women, they're just from different areas.
And how do they get to you? How are they recommended to your facility?
They're recommended to me. I have a certification in the area. And so the women are recommended to me by me reaching out to the Ohio Department, and also the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities. They also are reached out to if needed. There's several facilities that can assist. I mean, it's an overload. of assistance.
Is there a limit to their length of stay in this?
Until they can get their feet. I mean, that's my goal.
I mean, isn't there a relationship that you're having between the people that are funneling residents to you and a program description that, okay, here's the deal. You can live here 6 months, in that time you're drug tested. I don't know. I mean, what's the parameter?
Yeah, that can definitely happen, but that happens when I have the meeting about that particular resident or that particular person. So, I mean, that happens after this, of course, after the approval. But that happens after I sit down and they talk to me about what the woman needs. And then after they give me a description, I say, well, I don't know that I think she would be good for the project that I'm trying to do. Or,
Madam Chair, it seems like we've had these situations before, and there was some kind of a manual developed that would more clearly spell out for the neighbors, especially
yes,
how this gets run, what are the implications. The tricky thing here is that variances go with the property, they don't go with the person. So people, you could be the greatest person to ever run a facility such as this. However, there may be a time, and there probably will be, when you will leave and sell the place to someone else who will run it, and that person may not be as diligent, let's say, as you yourself.
Wait.
So that's always the problem we have with facilities of this nature, to make sure that we tell those folks who own property and who live in the neighborhood exactly how the facility will work, so they understand any impacts it could have to their lifestyle.
Madam Chair, Ms. Kukla's had her hand raised for quite a while, and then Ms. Hutton just raised her hand again.
Right, Ms. Kukla first, and then Ms. Hutton.
thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did receive 2 phone calls from neighbors who were notified. They stated objections. One of the neighbors did state that they thought that the building was too small for that number of tenants. So that's what I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, Ms. Hutton.
So first, let me just reference Ms. Kukla's comment. The home has an addition that was built onto it, so it's very large. It has three bedrooms, and it has cathedral ceilings. It actually has room for 3. If I wanted to do 3 twin beds, 3 twin beds in that one room, I could. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm only trying to do at least 5 women. I'm not even trying to maximum. So that's the answer to, it's not small in there at all.
And then, have drug problems, Ms. Hutton?
Say it again, ma'am, I'm sorry.
With drug problems, will you take in?
No, absolutely not. And in the letter that I gave to my residents, I told them that it was a drug-free environment. The letter that I gave to my residents is right here.
Okay.
I can
Let me
show
see if
you
I can
guys.
zoom in on. I'll try to zoom in on this so you might be able to read it a little bit easier. There you go.
Thank you.
So yeah, I spoke to the women. I spoke to a lot of women on the street because there's a lot of women that own homes. But I was just telling them that it would definitely be a drug-free environment.
No sex offenders, okay.
No sex offenders, absolutely not.
Will there be staff living in the house?
There will be a staff member living in the house. Once the women get acclimated, then what usually happens is the staff member checks in every day, but doesn't necessarily stay overnight.
Oh, so there's no curfew, they have to be in by a certain time and all?
Yeah, they have to be in by a certain time. Yes, that would definitely be in my rules. They would have to be in by a the woman that I have facilitating the home, she will make sure that everybody is safe in the home.
But she's not staying there at night.
She can, she's willing to. She is willing to, but
It's
she
either
had.
gotta be all or nothing. You just
Well,
can't leave 5 women who won't get into trouble. Hello.
Well, I mean, Madam Chair, that's not an issue. I know I can get somebody to stay overnight. I've talked to several people that are willing to work with me on this project.
I'm sure it just seems like we're writing the rules as we go along.
As we're going along is right, Tim.
And I think that, maybe we give the appellant time to go back, reflect, and establish the rules. So that becomes part of the motion we make, and it's clearly spelled out for the residents and the councilman and everyone else. So I would
Madam Chair?
I would suggest that we allow the appellant to ask us for a proposal to get that done.
I'm with you, Tim. Ms. Hutton, do you understand? We almost want to see a plan.
Oh, absolutely. I can do that.
They're going to be, that somebody will be on those premises at 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I don't think you can leave anybody's alone overnight and not have a problem. When somebody on that street finds out, you got troubles.
Yeah, I absolutely can put a plan in place.
But okay, so what Tim is suggesting is that you come to us with this plan, and then we will move forward with it.
Okay.
But there's no guarantees, but we need to see something a little more concrete because we're ad-libbing it here on the video this morning, and we're not necessarily going to do that. So we'd like to postpone that and give you a little time to do all that.
Okay, and who would I submit the plan to?
Okay, hold on a minute. Let's have a date, Mrs. Kukla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We can put it on May 24th. So that's approximately 3 weeks away. The next date would be August
I
3rd.
won't be here that day,
Okay. No, sorry, not August 3rd. It'd be June 7th. June 7th is the next date.
Okay, let's do June 7th.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was like,
you would send.
Did she need that much time?
Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the May 24th was the date?
I won't be here.
So, yeah, let's do June 7th. That's the next date that we have available.
And you send your information to Mrs. Kukla.
Okay, dokie.
Yeah. So we're waiting for a business plan of sorts, Madam Chair?
Right.
An operations plan.
Yeah, because those are very different. So operations plan, okay.
Yeah, it would be operations, hours of operation, how you're going to run the place, like they were asking about, whether there's going to be someone there 24/7, how many people, obviously, just, all the rules and regs for how you're going to run the facility, I think is what they're asking for.
Yeah, we definitely don't need your business plan, so don't submit that.
No.
I know, because I was going to say that's very different.
Yeah, definitely don't want to see that.
I'm on record saying I will not read that, so we don't need that.
Okay, all right, absolutely.
June 7th, without objection, board?
Without objection.
Okay, great.
Without objection.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Hutton.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck.
Bye-bye, thank you.
Calendar 21-048 on West 73rd. Go ahead, Ms. Faith.
Madam Chair, this case was postponed from April 12th, 2021. Calendar number 21-048 at 3224 West 33rd Street. Fakreem Mahmood, owner, and Devin Grisham, leasee, proposed to establish use as a retail convenience store in a B1 two-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Tim.
Everyone for this case who's going to testify, raise your right hand. I'll make the statement. You reply with "I do" in your name. Here we go. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do, Devon Gresham.
I do, Eric Rosario.
Anyone else?
No, Mr. Mahmood wasn't able to join us today, so me and Eric will be speaking on his behalf. He was having medical issues, so just.
Wasn't there somebody from Metro West here the last time? Or?
Yeah, sorry, I was
Mr.
muted.
Harsh.
I do, Chris Harsh.
Okay. Anyone else? Hearing none, I guess we already had some history. Onward we go to wherever we're going.
Okie dokie.
Madam Chair, this is Liz.
Yes.
So just to, it sounds like Mr. Donovan remembers the reason for the postponement. I apologize for not having the notes on the agenda. The postponement was made or at the request of Chris Harsh from Metro West to allow time to hold a public meeting.
Thank you. Okay, Chris is with us this morning, so we will hear
Do
from
we
him.
have to give the standard again?
Have they all been sworn in? Chris,
I
have you
think-
been, okay,
Yeah,
and, okay, fine. They've all been sworn in, I believe, Tim.
right.
They're all nodding their head anyway, huh?
Okay.
Okey doke.
Do we need to
Moving
give the
right in.
standard?
Yeah, we're gonna get the legal standard now from Ms. Wagner.
Thank you. Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting a use variance and an area variance from the landscaping regulations of the zoning code. And I should say, we don't know if they're still requesting the area variances because my understanding was the landscaping plan was submitted, but I could be wrong about that. Anyway, to obtain the use variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will result in an unnecessary hardship, particularly to the property, such there'll be no economically feasible use of the property without the variance, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, the appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you very much. I'd like to call on Chris first. Did you eventually meet with the folks since the last meeting?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. We did have a chance to hold a community meeting over there on Monday, the 26th of April, about 6 p.m. It was attended by about a dozen local residents, some longstanding and some new, and about a dozen other folks from around the area. At that meeting, the neighbors did conclude in support of the three variances. The discussed hours of operation at that meeting were 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. And I don't know if that can be included in the variance or not, but perhaps worth discussion. The operators did commit to give an open dialogue with the community about issues that could arise. They also said that their sales would be limited to beer, which implies perhaps a C1 alcohol permit, but we did not discuss that, and that was not discussed in detail. The operators did commit to public meetings as part of that process for that alcohol permit, and they did commit to a public process for any additional permitting that would be needed. We did receive one telephone message from a resident who couldn't attend, who lives on Dearborn, who is in opposition to their operation. But that's the those are the notes. I was
Thank you
in
very
attendance.
much.
You were handed to me.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Mhm.
Board, does that clear up?
What is the stance by the operator in terms of liquor sales?
Devin?
Yes, I'm here.
What
The
is
question-
your, what
Go
is
ahead, Tim.
your, how are you going to address the issue of selling alcohol there? I mean, beer alone, how does that work?
So right now we're still waiting on our beer license. So before we even start selling, we want to have another community meeting because we opened up the discussion with our last meeting, And the community was in support of it. They just wanted to make sure we wasn't selling to minors or just people wasn't walking out of here opening beer and walking out. They wanted to just make sure we didn't have loitering going on. And they just really wanted to communicate how we were going to be selling beer.
Can I, my name is Eric. Can I also add to this? I would like to add that when we start selling alcohol, we would like to keep the hours the same. That way we don't open any later. We don't have any higher chances of any criminal activity happening in our community.
So what are your hours of operations then?
9 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Okay. 7
Is
days?
that 7 days?
Yes. Beer will not be sold on Sunday.
Is
What
that
was that?
because of the license, or is that a policy?
No, we didn't get approved for the beer on Sunday yet. We're in line waiting.
So
So
6
you
days a
apply-
week.
Yeah, 6 days a week we'll be selling beer.
So even though the testimony here was you weren't going to sell beer to begin with, you've already went and did outreach and secured the license so you have the ability to sell beer. True or false?
Can you repeat that?
I said you made a statement that you weren't going to sell beer at the beginning of the opening here to establish some kind of rapport with the neighborhood. But does that mean you've also applied for the necessary licenses to sell the beer?
So we applied prior to knowing of any of this. So we was already in the process. We applied back in October 29th, because we knew we was opening a convenience store. We knew that beer was going to be a point of sale. So we had already applied, but we didn't know that we needed the community's approval. That was just something that we didn't know. So now we're just really asking for forgiveness. You know what I mean? Like we really can't do nothing else. We already got accepted for the beer. We already paid for it. So it's in the process now. It just we didn't know basically.
Madam Chair, this is Lori Wagner. Could I make a statement? As the board, I think, knows, it has no ability to regulate alcohol sales. If permission is given for a convenience store, then whether alcohol sales are allowed, what days, what types, are going to be up to the state of Ohio. Just a reminder here. And if the board tried to impose conditions on the variance, they would not be legally enforceable. So you have to presume if you give permission for a convenience store that they can sell whatever the state allows them to sell.
Madam Chair, we have Chris Harsh with his hand raised.
Yes, Chris.
Madam Chair, to Mr. Donovan, the community was under the impression that they would be pursuing an alcohol license. I don't think they were under the impression that this would be a non-alcohol sales convenience store. So that is what was the premise of the meeting that was held on Monday. And I think the big takeaway from them was the closing at 10 p.m. I think. I don't know if that can be part of the variance or not, but I think that was a big point of agreement between the community members and the operators.
Yes, we can make that part of the motion.
Yeah, this
but
is Lori Wagner.
I'm curious.
You can make that part.
Hello, somebody else was talking. I apologize. Lori, were you?
Oh, I'm sorry. It was Lori again, and I don't have the ability to raise my hand on my phone. I was just going to say what you said. You do have the ability to impose hours of operation as a condition on the variance.
Right.
And Madam Chair, we also have Ms. Kukla with her hand raised.
Okay, Mrs. Kukla.
Madam Chair, for the record, we do not have a screening plan for that parking area. So just to remind you, where the parking area ends on each side, they need some sort of screening. I believe that the Mr. Rulins could speak more to what would be acceptable there, but in the past you have accepted solid fencing there because it looks like they have a small parking area.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I would echo what Ms. Kukla just said. If you look at the bottom right picture on your screen,
Yes.
you can see that the neighboring house has windows directly on their parking lot. So anybody pulling into the parking lot at night is going to get headlights in their house. I know I, for one, would not want to live in that condition. So I would definitely recommend that you require a board-on-board fence is fine with me. I'm not so much on the landscaping. That's fine if you want to impose that. But I would like to see a 6-foot board-on-board fence to block people from pulling in the parking lot's headlights from shining right into that house. That would be an unacceptable nuisance. I'm looking at the aerial at the other house on the other side. There isn't a house directly adjacent in the rear. You know, you've got a huge lot next to it. So I guess I'm flexible on the other border.
Okay. Gentlemen from Erie, are you amenable to that?
Yes. Yes,
Absolutely.
Madam. Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, how
Oh,
about
and,
paving that, a little paving there that looks.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to pull over that curb there, or whatever's there. It looks like a big hole.
Yeah, Madam Chair, someone from the Community West reached out to me and they said that they also have funding and will be willing to help with exterior, remodeling. So somebody did contact me from Chris's team. So we're gonna be working on getting the pavement and everything fixed, and also we're gonna get that fence put up as well. So I just wanted to add that, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Board, any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, given the testimony and the fact that the appellants did go back and do the due diligence that we asked them to do, I move that we approve the variances as requested for calendar number 21-048, noting that the hours of operation are 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week, and that they will submit. I would assume you'd have to submit new plans showing what you plan to do with the parking lot in the back.
Right.
Did they also say that they were not going to sell beer on Sunday? I forget.
Oh, that's
Yes,
we
didn't.
can't enforce it.
State of Ohio will tell them that.
Yes, Mr. Donovan, I believe that what they're saying is the license they applied for doesn't allow them to sell beer on Sunday. And once again, as Ms. Johnson said, the state will tell them whether they can or can't.
All right, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second Kelly's motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Faith. Ms. Faith. Okay, call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Ms. Barnes?
Barnes, yes.
Ms. Faith?
Yes.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Calendar 21-48 is granted conditionally. We will hold ratification until we receive that revised site plan showing the location of the fence. And Madam Chair, do you also want the indication of the paving, or are we just going to allow them to get permits for that down the road?
No, I would like to see all that included. And
okay, so fencing and notation that the property or the parking lot will be paved. So we'll hold ratification until we receive those.
Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Good luck.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Okay, now we're going to talk about res judicata. We're going to talk about that first, or are we going to go through all the others? Miss Wagner?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Well, it says on my agenda, postponed from February the 22nd, res judicata.
Right. The appellants in this case need to have been notified they need to demonstrate to the board why the board should even hear this case, because it was the same variance was applied for in 1969 and denied. And I think the standards have been given to the appellants, and perhaps they can speak to that. They have to demonstrate something that would prevent the well, I can give you the instructions here that they have to demonstrate that a basis to prevent the operation of res judicata, including substantially changed circumstances from the time of the last filing, substantial new evidence that was not available at the time of prior hearing, or that the application of res judicata would create manifest injustice. So if the board needs to make that determination that if whether or not it can even hear the case, and then if it determines it can hear the case, then the applicants would have to then make the case for a use variance.
Well, Mrs. Kukla, did you get a different plan?
Madam Chair, I have not received anything from them. Just as a reminder, this the property has always been zoned to family. In 1913, a permit was issued to erect a two-story dwelling. There is that one variance that we've referenced, calendar 69-519. There was a request to maintain 3 suites on the property. The 3 suites were denied in that case, and 2 suites were permitted. And then in 2006, a certificate of occupancy was issued stating that the authorized use of the property is to family. And then 2016, a rental registration renewal was issued stating that the use of the property is as to family. So the rental registration for 2 units was renewed. And I, again, have not received any updated plans or photos or anything.
I would suggest we swear everybody in.
Yes.
Because I think we're having a discussion about res judicata.
Go ahead, Jim.
So anyone who's going to testify in this case, I'm going to read a statement. I'm going to look for a reply of I do with your name. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? For this case, are you there?
Mr. Lewis?
Yeah, I don't see anyone else's name on this list.
Mr. Lewis, can I hear I do? And
Mr. Lewis, it's *6 to unmute yourself.
Yep, sorry guys. I was scrambling to get that to the right screen. Can you hear me now?
yeah, I do in your name. Mr. Lewis, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Anyone else for this case?
No, it's just me.
Hearing none. Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
would you like the case read into the record?
yes, please.
Okay.
We're going backwards
case-
today, just in case anybody.
Yes, we are, just in case, covering all bases. This case was postponed from February 22nd, 2021. This is a res judicata, calendar number 21-006 at 9501 Pierpont Avenue. Chase White and Dave Lewis, owners, proposed to change the use of a 2-family to a 3-family dwelling in a B1 2-family residential district. The owners appeal for the relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record. Thank you.
Thank you. We've already sworn everybody in. We've already had the history. Have we had the history again? No.
Yes, Madam Chair, I read it a few minutes ago before
Yeah,
Mr.
right.
Mr. Donovan swore him in.
Oh,
Sorry, little technical glitch.
you're in a hurry.
I clicked the wrong button, sorry.
That's all right. Mr. Lewis,
Yes, ma'am.
you've not submitted something different to the Board of Zoning Appeals? Is that my understanding?
Can you repeat that? Did you say we have not submitted?
Mrs. Kukla said we've gotten nothing from you since the original hearing on February 22nd.
Did you get our list of square footages and the layout of properties? The list that we made of 13 3 units that are in close proximity to ours?
No, I don't have a copy of that. I can check again. Who would that have been delivered from?
It would have been I think it looks like it was sent on February 22nd. If you search Chase, CHASE, at clecashoffers.com via email.
Madam Chair, this is Lori Wagner. In the interest of expediting this, could I ask Mr. Lewis if he has had any opportunity to consult with an attorney or to find out in some way what the standards are for res judicata? Do you understand the issue that's here?
I understand res judicata, but I mean, are you solely, does that outweigh the other criteria that is available?
Basically, the point of res judicata is to not allow a person to keep coming in and making the same request over and over, that once you've heard a case and decided whether a variance is justified, that will be final, even if it's a different owner and at a different time. In order for the board to hear this at this point, you have to show a basis that would prevent res judicata from operating. And it could be that the neighborhood is different than it was in 1969 insofar as how, I can't really give you legal advice here, but one factor would be when you decide if there should be a 2 or 3 family, is the neighborhood different than it was in 1969? Is it less dense? Is there more parking? Or is it just unjust to apply this and not allow the board to at least hear this and allow you to make a case?
Yeah, we just feel that with having 13 3 units within less than 1.2 miles from our home, and not, 0 of which have the minimum lot size for a 3 unit that you've provided to us. Ours is in the mid 50% of lot size average compared to all 3 units, and we have proper egress, interior stairways on the front and back. We've submitted drawings. We spent good money on great drawings to submit to you guys, and to have that shut down by 1969 res judicata is, I mean, do I need an attorney for that? I don't. That's not Cleveland today. I mean, we've renovated 30 some properties in the last few years, and vinyl siding, vinyl windows on many improvements throughout the city. And I don't see the basis of this decision other than res judicata. And I mean, somebody has to be able to stand up and say, okay, this was many years ago, and this fits all the other criteria, and help us with an exception.
That's up to the board to decide. Do you know how many 3-family homes there were, over 50 years ago?
No, I'm not prepared with that data. I mean, how much data do you want from me? I'm taking the existing data and saying.
We're not talking about data.
You're trying to narrow me down on data that is not. That's, if you ask me a question, I'm going to need time to go. I mean, if I had an attorney, my attorney would still need time to prepare data that you are requesting at this moment.
That's what we're here for today, to determine whether things are different now than they were in 1969. I'm just trying to explain what the board is first looking at. And if you get beyond that initial barrier, then I think all the data that you do have as far as what's in the neighborhood and things would be relevant to the board. I mean, but that's their decision.
I agree with that, and that's all I'm asking for. Is I'm not asking for a weird little 3 unit to be turned in, or a weird little 2-family to be allowed to have 3 families in it. We have a legitimate 3-family property with 3 meters, 3 electric meters, 3 gas meters, 2 proper egress, proper clearance, proper headroom, ample parking, ample site square footage based on at least half of the other 3-unit properties within 1.1 miles of this property. That's a pretty good case.
Madam Chair.
Yes,
I mean, that ruling is 50 years ago. And in the court of common sense, it makes sense to me that there have been significant changes over that 50-year time period. And that in terms of whether or not we should hear the case, I have no problem hearing the case. I do think we've given the variances away for new structures that have 3 units, that have less room and amenities than this particular case. So I think just in terms of hearing the case, I'm ready to say yes and move forward, and let's hear it and see whether or not we're going to grant the variances.
I'm in agreement with Mr. Donovan on this. I think we should go ahead. That's such a long time ago. It's, you know, a different generation. So it seems to me that it makes sense to go ahead and hear the case.
Okay. Kelly?
Yeah, if that's appropriate to meet the standard to move to hear the case, I'm okay with it. I don't know if because it was 50 years ago is enough, but I'm all with hearing it. I just want to make sure with Lori that we can say we can hear it because this was 50 years ago.
Well, it would be up to the board to determine. You can say that. You could determine, for instance, that, you know, in the past 50 years, you know, the needs of the city as far as housing have changed. That, I mean, that is a basis in and of itself. That's a factual determination you have to make yourself. You're not legally prohibited from hearing it.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I just would like to point out something that Shannon Leonard has typed in the chat, that dating back to 2020, the applicant was aware that this property was not a 3-family and was not zoned that. She has communicated to me that I think through zoning verifications. So the applicant did know that this was not a legal 3-family when they purchased it.
Okie dokie.
Just a point of information.
Thank you very much. Do you still want to go ahead, Tim?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we would hear the case.
Second.
Thank you. Call the roll.
Ms. Faith?
Yes.
Ms. Barnes?
Ms. Barnes, yes.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
No.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
And
All right,
Madam
sir.
Chair, we did find that document. I did find that it was lost in my email, as I didn't see a label on it stating Pierpont. So I apologize for that, and I have sent that over to Mr. Rowlands just now.
Thank you, Ms. Kukla.
Do you have it, Maurice?
Let me check my email.
Okay.
While he's doing that, Mr. Lewis, you can start with your case. We're not here all afternoon.
Okay. Well, I would just start from the top and say we do a lot of work in the city, and we're partners on this property. Chase and I work separately most of the time. We both rehab properties full time in the city of Cleveland and Akron. And this one was just, yes, we saw it was a 2-unit, and there's opportunity there. It's a great property. It has proper egress, interior stairways, no exterior egress. I love that about the property. We are landlords in Summit and Cuyahoga County. I have no interest in putting a tenant in a position to be cramped or complain or put me into a higher maintenance situation with a human being. So we look for very conforming standard operating buildings. And this one met the criteria. It's very, as you can see, it's a very conventional style. We're in the middle, we're about 90% with repairs and renovations on it at the moment. It's currently vacant. Couple weeks to go on that and we'll be ready to rent. And like I said, I think the data that I've just thrown out on, should I say all that again? I'm not, I guess the fact that we're in that you're hearing the case now, should I go through the data that we have presented?
What data is it exactly? Because I think did you formulate that data to convince us to hear your case? So if that's the case, then we don't need to hear that part. We just need to hear what you're going to do with the building.
The data is simply, we're not trying to get a 3-unit where there's no 3-unit nearby at all. I absolutely respect that. I respect neighborhood structure. I completely understand where a 3-unit property and even a 2-unit property would not belong. And our position is simply, this is a very reasonable, already constructed case that we have that we're asking to be accepted. The egress is there. There's 13 other buildings within 1.2 square miles of our building. The one item that was kicked back to us was the site was not big enough. You guys, the requirement was 7,200 square feet. Minimum lot area for a 3-family dwelling, 7,200 square feet. There are 0 of the 13 existing 3 units within 1.2 square miles of us that have that 7,200 square foot site. So my point and my case would be, how did they get approved, and if you could advise me what piece of data am I missing that I have not done to be approved? Because if none of them have the minimum, your 2 sightings were res judicata, which I understand, and then the site square footage. And if you're working with us on the res judicata, that leaves us with the site square footage. 0 of the other 13 3 units have that.
It's hard for me to get the
footage.
data on the screen at the same time that you're giving your case. What is the square footage that your particular case is providing?
Ours is, the square footage of our site is 4,180.
Okay.
We don't know if those that you submitted today are legal, to be honest with you. They may be just operating on their own, and they've never come in front of us, so.
Well, that respectfully, that data was pulled right off of the county website, and they're called a 3-unit right off of my place. And isn't that?
No, the county data is only what might actually be existing. They do not pull any, their data does not conform with the city of Cleveland zoning.
Exactly.
So those are just the existing conditions. It doesn't indicate that those uses are legal.
Okay.
Yeah.
The county actually does have a disclaimer on their website about that.
Okay.
Does it accommodate, how many cars for parking is accommodated on site?
There'd be 3 or 4, just depending on how how flexible anybody would be with, who's working, what hours and that kind of thing.
Is there a parking area in the back of the site?
Not at this moment, no.
So the parking you're talking about would be in the driveway adjacent to the house?
Yeah, it goes all the way back to the fence area, like past the house into the backyard. Where
Well,
the
those would
garage-
be illegal parking spaces.
Yes, I've got a tough time with this. I'm sorry.
Well, right now, the
According-
parking doesn't fit the two.
I mean, according to the drawing here, the site plan, there is no parking in the rear. They're all just illegal spots adjacent to the house. It seems like it wouldn't be a bad idea to add some parking in the rear of this house.
I agree.
And it needs an exit out of this third floor. I'm sorry. I wouldn't want to live there.
No, Ms. Johnson, there is two means of egress out of the third floor on the inside. That's what I was talking about earlier. There's
Yes, I know. That's what I'm saying. There is no external exit. That they have to go down through the second floor in order to get out of this building.
No, there's formal stairways that serve that. You can't get any better than that. There's two full formal stairways that separately serve the third floor. You do not have to enter the second floor unit to do that. They're dedicated stairways. They're dedicated entry and exit stairways.
I'd like to go back to Maurice's comment. I think that the plan itself could benefit from a dedicated parking area in the rear of the property to accommodate the cars that the appellant has said it figures in the 3 or 4 spaces. And would ask the appellant if he'd be willing to make that investment in terms of addressing that need.
Can I ask the form of pavement that would be required by zoning? I mean, is stone parking, and I don't just mean scattering some stone. We've done this on a separate property where we fully removed topsoil and put a proper stone parking in and made an actually awesome parking area in the back of another building that we did. And it's nice stone, which gives water options and doesn't require, full drainage of pavement.
Is the driveway paved?
Driveway is old asphalt. Yeah.
So it's paved with asphalt though.
Correct.
And how far does it reach back beyond the house?
It goes per the drawing you're looking at, it goes to the house, but there's an old, somebody must have connected. There must be an old garage back there, like an old garage slab, and then there's some stone connected, because past that line there on the plan, there is, you could fit at least one car back there, going off of memory.
Well, I think that the language allows for something other than asphalt or concrete, but the treatment must be approved, as I remember this, by the board of something or other. Maurice, maybe you can help me, or Mr. Cardy can help give direction in terms of how that could be accomplished.
Yeah, that would be, you talking about the paving?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what all is acceptable by building and housing, so maybe Mr. Riccardi can chime in on that. I'm pretty sure it's as long as it's engineered with drainage, I think is how it's phrased. I think you actually, as long as it is an engineered system, it can be alternative paving. Yeah, I thought I remembered that correctly. So it could be gravel as long as it were an engineered system. Is that correct, Mr. Riccardi?
Whoa.
He says yes. Okay. Well, that would mean that it would have an integrated drainage system. It wouldn't just be gravel.
Right, oh, I see.
So the appellant, if we were to make a motion that would include the establishment of 3 parking spaces, following the rules, because that's all we're saying here, these are the rules. Are you willing to basically support such a decision and direction?
Yes, I can't speak for my partners in budget at this second, but I would say if that is the ruling, I would say that that's very fair, and I can see how that is necessary, and I have no argument with that. And I would say just, my response would be yes, and I'm not sure, openly, we might be able to just leave it a 2-unit and not create the parking, but I would like the option to be able, with my partners, to be able to present that to them and say, yes, if, we can only call it a 3-unit if we build the parking, that's obviously an investment.
Let me
A
just say
decent
this,
size.
if we make a motion and we vote to decide to award a variance, we will not ratify that variance until we get response from you that your partners then are going to support that. So there's not going to be a change, if you will,
Correct.
in the direction that we would give you.
I understand.
Go ahead, Jim.
Okay, given the testimony, I would move that we would grant the variance, understanding that the appellant has invested in 2 separate ingress-egress options for the tenant living on the 3rd floor, and that the appellant, in addition, has agreed to establishing at least 3 parking spaces in the rear of the property, following the necessary engineering called out by the code.
Do I have a second?
Second. I second.
Call the roll.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Vaith?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
No.
Calendar 21-006 is granted conditionally. Madam Chair, are we going to hold this pending a revised drawing showing the code conforming parking spaces at the rear, or do we just want to make that a condition?
No. We're holding the pending.
Okay, so this will be held pending revised drawing showing code conforming parking with the drainage and the end paving at the rear, or proper engineered surface. And we will hold ratification until we receive that drawing.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you, board. I appreciate that opportunity.
Old business? 1, 2, and 3 without objection?
Without objection.
Without objection.
Without objection.
Now we need a couple of 3 affirmations, one on West 5th Street. Delays because of COVID-19. On 111th Clifton Boulevard, also a delay because of COVID. And on East 185th Street, construction delays because of COVID. Without objection, board?
Without objection.
Without objection.
Thank you.
That's it.
That's it,
Great.
guys.
All right. Have a good one, everyone.
You
Thank
too,
you.
honey. Bye-bye.
You too, Kelly. Have a good week.
You too, bye.
Bye-bye.
We still have time to make our staff meeting, huh, Mo? Bye.